Hello, my name is Delbert Tso. I live in Phoenix, Arizona, and today I was invited to participate in the International Irish Famine Commemoration. Today is November 3rd, 2019. I was asked to participate in the invocation aspect of the commemoration today. How I got involved with the Irish community here is through my wife. My wife is very active in the Irish Cultural Center here in Phoenix, and I've been a volunteer here for many years. Sometimes I help with a lot of events that goes on at the center. And a little bit about myself here in Phoenix is that I actually hail from northern Arizona in a little small town called Cameron, Arizona, which is where I was born and raised. When I had graduated from high school, I moved to the Grand Canyon, and I had worked there for a couple of years, and it just so happens there that I met my wife there. My wife is actually from Washington, D.C., but she's been living here since 1972. And when I had graduated from high school, we both moved to Phoenix, Arizona, and we've been a part of this community since 1986. I've gone to school here, and I've worked here all my life. And I would say about 12 years ago, my wife got really active in the Irish cultural community here. And I've been a steady, reliable person coming to a lot of these events that are held here. And today, I was happy after I was asked if I could provide a little blessing in Navajo language. My bid was a bit about a prayer. I had to recite a prayer in Navajo, which I translated from English, and I was happy to do that. I think what the whole day meant to me is I kind of reflect back on how I was raised. I grew up very poor on the Navajo reservation. I grew up traditionally. I grew up, for instance, on a dirt floor in a hogan, very traditional with stories from my culture. And I think the hardest part for me, and kind of remembering all the people that have perished in the famine in Ireland back in the 1845 through 1849, is that when I was growing up, we didn't have a lot to eat ourselves. We basically lived off the land. We didn't have very much to eat. I mean, staples were like perhaps lamb, perhaps corn, perhaps flour, and also potato. We had a lot of potato. And the thing that I kind of feel sad about is the suffering that has gone on and how that dispersed a lot of the peoples of Ireland across the globe. The same way that I see myself escaping the poverty and the lifestyle of the Navajo reservation to come to a place like a thriving city like Phoenix, Arizona, to not only live and work, but also to get educated and to better myself in terms of providing for my family and being a productive member of the community. And I do appreciate coming to the Arizona Irish Cultural Center, and I'm pretty active here with my wife. We come to a lot of events, as I mentioned, and I was educated also on the Navajo reservation. I went to a boarding school which was run by the federal government of the U.S., and it was called the Bureau of Indian Affairs, BIA. And I spent the greater part of my childhood there in the BIA system. This is boarding school. And the purpose of the boarding school was to assimilate young Native kids into the American culture, thereby giving us a way to learn the English language. My first language actually was Navajo. I didn't speak English until I was age of 6. And when we went to this boarding school, we had to learn English and we had to assimilate. And we were educated, of course. And one of the things that I remember is that when I was there at the boarding school, we were barred from speaking our native tongue. In fact, if you spoke Navajo or your native language, you were punished. You were put on restriction. You were put on work detail. And that in itself probably was not the best approach, but it happened. And it was a way for us to learn English quickly. And I've been speaking English since that time. And I'm comfortable with speaking Navajo and English language. With respect to what I think about the International Irish Famine Commemoration, is that you feel a sense of loss, a sense of sadness, and to some extent, you just really have to reflect back on how people have suffered, not just people from Ireland, but also people across the globe, including Native tribes here in America. So, in that sense, I think that pretty much everybody kind of knows a story or two about how the American Native cultures have been disseminated. Back in the 1800s, or 1700s, 1400s even, to this day. A lot of these things that are happening now, even today, I think really needs to be addressed in terms of making sure that everyone has an opportunity to fulfill their dreams in terms of having an education, having a job, supporting their families, being at the same time, remember where they came from, and to some extent, some reflection, because I don't think that you can really shed where you came from. It's important to remember how you were raised, especially in my case. I grew up very poor, but I think I made a life for myself here in Phoenix. And to some extent, I do identify with some of the sadness and sorrow that the Irish people have felt, the people that we met today. They remember stories of their grandfathers and grandmothers. So it kind of touches you on a certain level, and I was happy and honored to be a part of it. I was asked to provide a prayer in my native tongue, Navajo language, and I did that with pride. And I think I did capture a little bit about the essence of the prayer and the meaning of it. So I was just glad that I took part. I met some very interesting people. And like I said again, I would never have been a participant in this commemoration have I not met my wife. And my wife is, as I said, very active in the community. So today at the commemoration, I was asked to recite a line in the prayer that was said today for the Irish Famine Commemoration here in Phoenix. And the prayer is written in English. And so I'll go ahead and read it in English, and then I'll recite it in Navajo, my native tongue. So the English version goes like this. It says that we pray for travelers and explorers that they find a warm place to stay in Anamkara, which apparently means soul friend in the Irish language. So in today's prayer, I had to recite this in Navajo. And here it goes. This is how I said it. Dishinche tsodata dilzil. Didne. Hakshin dal tsagon dal kaigi do. Hagoshin. And dal kaigi. And junagoshin benasco njakaidolil. Arodi. Honets dogoshin hawan. Bada alle dolil. Arodi. Bitsis kistallingishi betlahajulon dolil. That's how I would say that same line in Navajo. Now it's a bit longer than the English version, and that's just because the way that the Navajo language is written, you sort of have to describe what is going on. So it seems a bit longer than just the short sentence that I said in English. But I was happy to do it, and I was honored to do it.